My breath hitched. In this moment, I was about to step into the unknown. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brandon, and welcome to the Time Travelers Club. So, last time we went into hot and heavy details of the Dionysian rites of his ancient mystery cults in both Greece and Rome. But it should come as no surprise that he seems to find his way into every party. So today, we're going to explore some of those cults that he's not directly affiliated with. So let's get into it. So let's start by talking about another cult that is related to the body god. The Orphic mystery cult held a profound and intricate relationship with Dionysus, so much so that in many ways the Orphic tradition revolved around a specific and in some ways distinct version of the god. The Orphic mysteries often get confused as being the same thing as the Dionysian ones, but they are in fact two completely different mystery cults. However, it is perhaps the overlap and similarity that caused later confusion when people outside these cults were later writing them down. At the heart of the Orphic cosmology and mythology lies the figure of Dionysus Zagreus. This is not simply Olympian Dionysus, known for wine and revelry, although they become closely intertwined. The myth of Zagreus is foundational to Orphic beliefs about the nature of existence, the human soul, and the afterlife. Courtney, I know that you know a little bit about this kind of thing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Zagreus?
Zagreus feels like... that always felt like an addition, a more like... I don't know how to put it. It's just kind of like not a side note, not not one of those weird Disney sequels, but more of just like you know what? It's like a self-insertion. It is like somebody
Yeah,
literally putting themselves into the story, which is not necessarily the worst thing, but that's what it always felt like to me.
that's interesting. Like, I've always found like it was almost more of like an expansion. Like
Mm-hmm.
someone took the story and they were like, what if? And just like really ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and tried to like, and maybe they took on inspiration from other things. It felt like he was pulling, like that they're pulling from like other cultures maybe and trying to have something make sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just curious because, like I feel like the first time I heard about Zagreus, I was an adult and I was like, who the fuck this, But I found it very fascinating because and we're about to get into some of it, but it's definitely, if you thought the whole the OG Dionysus story was a little dark, Zacharias kind of cranks that up to an 11.
It
So
does.
the Orphic narrative goes something like this. Zagreus was the son of Zeus and Persephone, gross. Zeus intended him to be his successor, though, entrusting him with the thunderbolt, which that part I find very interesting because in a lot of the other stories, Zeus really doesn't want a successor, right? Because he overthrew his dad, who overthrew his dad, so like there's this whole idea that if he has a son like that who's destined to succeed him, that he'll also be overthrown. So I
Mm-hmm.
find that in this story, it's interesting. Also, he did his daughter, which is gross, but,
Very gross.
gross. So, of course, Hera's not okay with him doing the stepdaughter / his daughter. And she gets jealous because that's what Hera's whole thing is, to make women look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So she incited the Titans against infant Zagreus. They would lure him with enticing toys, like a creeper with a van, and while he was distracted, attacked and dismembered and devoured him.
I mean,
Athena managed,
ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Athena, though, somehow just happened to be passing by and managed to save Zagreus' heart. Zeus, enraged by the Titans' act, as he should be, struck them down with his thunderbolts.
Hmm.
From the ashes of the Titans arose humankind. In this version of like a creation myth, this myth explains the dual nature of human beings in Orphic thought, a titanic, earthly, and inherently flawed aspect, and a divine spark derived from the consumed Dionysus Zagreus. From the saved heart of Zagreus, or in some versions through Semele consuming said heart, like which is a little confusing to me because it's like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
if humans were just created, how the hell does Semele eat it? You know, like
Yep.
she's a person too. There
Hmm.
are flaws in in this story,
Oh, absolutely.
but I digress. Um, the Olympian Dionysus was born somehow through this method, with the latter Dionysus seen as a reincarnation or continuation of the primordial Zagreus. The
This
myth of
story is all
Dionysus
over the
Zagreus.
place. This story is so
Sorry.
all over the place. It is
Yeah.
crazy, and it is.
Yeah.
This is why I feel like it's a self-insertion. It's just like I came up from all of this. I accomplished all of this. I was literally torn apart, and only my heart was found. And that's where I'm just like, is this fan
Well, and
fiction?
it's like I said, some of it, I mean, we're also piecing together from fragments through hearsay, through the
Mm-hmm.
centuries, like, and like, who knows? Like, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's never going to be quite concise. And there's always holes in all of these stories, but that's not really the point, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
you could do the same thing with the Bible, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely you could. And this
how did,
very
you
much
know,
gives
Adam and Eve,
some Jesus vibes. Like let's be super real. This very much gives some Jesus vibes. Um
yeah.
so the myth of Dionysus Zagreus and his fate had deep theological implications for the Orphics. The dismemberment of a divine being by the Titans provided an explanation for the presence of evil and suffering in the world. The Titanic element within humanity was seen as the source of these negative tendencies. So everyone's got the devil in them, you know.
Everyone got the devil.
Everyone's got the devil. Purge the devil from your soul. The belief that
And
humans contain a fragment of the divine Dionysus was central to Orphic soteriology, the study of salvation. The divine spark represented the soul's true divine nature and its potential for reunification with the divine, which very much you can see reflected in Gnostic beliefs. So we'll go into the Gnostics like way later, like way later. So like put a bookmark in it because the tie-in between Dionysus Zagreus and Gnosticism in terms of this is it's so similar that it's hard to
mm-hmm.
not see it. So, Orphics believed in the transmigration of souls, reincarnation. The goal was to purify the soul from its titanic taint through a life of ritual purity, asceticism, including vegetarianism, and sometimes celibacy. I could never. And adherence to Orphic teachings.
Between that and Titanic taint, just I'm done. Like I'm 12.
It's
Well,
okay.
clearly I could never either.
And,
So,
you know what? I respect it. So, through multiple lives and purifications, the soul could eventually escape the cycle of rebirth and achieve a blessed afterlife. And that very much has ties into like Hinduism and the Wheel of Samsara. So, this is one of
yeah.
those where this belief system, the Orphic teachings, is really an amalgamation of many things. And then it gets
Yeah,
transformed later on.
and like yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's some of this is, you know, vibes, not fact. No facts, just vibes. But at the same time, Like there's not like a written document that goes, yes, we saw this and decided to incorporate that, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, especially by the time like of the source of these like materials, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the like surviving stuff tends to be Roman copies of
Yeah,
Greek crap, right? And
absolutely.
like by that point too, you had the Hellenistic Empire, which is a Greek amalgamation, like culture, and it expanded all the way to India. And like there's all these trade routes and things. We like to think of these people as isolated little islands against each other, but really they're all talking to each other. They're all communicating. And with that being said, just like it's not surprising that they might hear an idea, like it, and incorporate it somehow, right?
Absolutely.
Um, Yeah, so I mean, like again, it's not like there's right here. I found the exact evidence that says they did this, but it's also kind of like easy to visualize for sure.
Oh,
And like I
absolutely.
honestly would think it's harder to believe that they didn't incorporate ideas from other cultures. So
Fully agreed. Fully agreed. So, Orphic rituals, like those of other mystery cults, aim to facilitate this purification and connection with the divine. While the exact nature of these rituals is debated due to the secrecy surrounding them, they likely involved symbolic reenactments of Zagreus' myth, music, dance, and possibly the consumption of symbolic substances, with wine sometimes being viewed symbolically rather than for its intoxicating effects, in contrast to the Dionysian cults. Blood of Christ, anyone?
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's tricky because it's like there's correlation versus, like could similar rituals, could both things have been inspired by an older tradition, and they are still
Absolutely.
separate, or was one inspired by the other kind of thing, which I mean at that point, yeah, it would be Christianity inspired by that.
Well, yeah,
But
and
at the
from
same
what we
time,
know, like if we're looking at it from a purely historical perspective, because this is what it is. Christianity is a great amalgamation of everything that was happening around the Mediterranean at that point in time. I'm gonna
right,
take a little bit of that, 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 slap it together,
exactly.
put a name on it, and boom!
But
It
also at
had
the
a
same,
broad reaching tendrils.
yeah, but like generalization in general is problematic, right?
Yeah.
There are people who go, oh, Christianity, it's like, put your tinfoil hat on, is this religion under a different name? No,
No.
is the answer. No.
No, that's
Good,
not the answer.
no,
It's just you're gonna find reflections of it
of
in
course.
many, many different beliefs and
Yeah,
regions and things like that because of the nature of it overall.
right.
But
And
yeah.
like, just like when we talk about ISIS later, right?
Hmm.
I mean, yes, there's of course correlation with the imagery of the Isis lactans versus, Maria lactan, Mary, breastfeeding her child. Of course there's a correlation.
Oh, absolutely.
And like part of it is yes, they definitely were using those references to try to bring in a culture, blah, 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 blah. But
Hmm.
B, also it's just the universal image in general. So it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B.
It really
Like
is.
the idea of good mom is breastfeeding her baby. We're not saying that in modern sense. We understand there are people who cannot breastfeed their children or choose not to for whatever reason, and rock on. I am not a mom. I am not a parent. I don't care. The point is that was the imagery at the time. Don't hate me.
Yes.
Um,
No, fed is
so,
best. We can agree with that. You're good.
but at the same time, like that does not mean that the Egyptian religion is the source of right.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's an amalgamation, and like the idea that like on the flip side of oh no, Christianity was its own thing. It never took ideas from anything else. I mean, like, are you living under a rock? Like, how do
No,
you
the
think they
world is
converted
6,000
these
years old.
people?
Brandon, the world is 6,000 years old, don't you know?
Right, exactly. Like, I mean, come on. I understand that the Jewish tribes went all the way to America and that Native peoples don't have their own culture or anything like that, too. If you don't
Yup.
know, I'm speaking sarcastically. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
there's a point like where I go, your beliefs also trample on the rights and of other people, and I don't love that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, sorry, not sorry. But, at the same time, like, yes, there was inspiration taken as the religion moved, just like these religions, and this mystery cult is no exception. Like,
Hmm.
as Greece expanded, as, it also became incorporated into Rome, but those cults continued, the religion evolves. To expect a religion to just stay static for 600-700 years with no changes at all from the original blueprint is kind of crazy to think. Like, I don't think that's realistic.
Fully agreed. Fully agreed. But unlike the more public Greek religion found on Here and Now and appeasing the Olympian gods, Orphism placed a strong emphasis on the soul's journey after death and the rewards or punishments awaiting it based on the purity of one's life. Orphic gold tablets found in graves provide the evidence for beliefs about navigating the underworld and achieving a favorable afterlife. It's a death cult. So
Hmm.
while deeply connected, the Orphic understanding of Dionysus differed in some key aspects from the more widespread Dionysian cult. The Orphic tradition placed a unique emphasis on the primordial, dismembered form of Dionysus Zagreus, which was less central to the popular Dionysian worship.
While both cults involved ritual and aimed for a form of spiritual transcendence, Orphism often leaned towards aesthetic practices and moral purity as the path to liberation, whereas the Dionysian cults emphasized ecstatic experiences through wine, music, and dance. Orphics sometimes viewed the intoxicating effects of wine symbolically rather than literally. The elaborate Orphic myth of creation involving Zagreus and the Titans and the dual nature of humanity was also a distinct theological framework not necessarily shared by all Dionysian worshippers. The detailed Orphic beliefs about reincarnation, the soul's judgment after death, more specific and central rather than general notions of an afterlife in popular Greek religion or even broader Dionysian cults. However, there were also significant overlaps and influences. At its core, both traditions revered Dionysus, albeit with a different emphasis and mythic background. One came from the charred heart and remains of a baby that was devoured. The other was born from Daddy Zeus's nutsack. I mean, take your pick, guys.
All I can
Which
think
is
is there is a movie. Have you seen it? It's called Mother.
good.
And
Oh no,
it has, yeah. Have you seen it?
no, no.
Oh, when,
Oh, that
oh,
sounds. If
it's bad.
this
It's
is what the
bad. You and I are gonna have to watch it. Like, put it on a list. We are watching this, and you're gonna see exactly why I bring it up.
I
If you haven't
was gonna
watched it
say,
at
like
home,
the fact this
oh,
inspired you. When I said
yes,
those words, I'm already dreading it. No.
yes. So we're having a
Oh
movie
boy.
night. Just so you're aware, we're
Yeah.
watching this.
Why can't it ever be nice things? I just want to watch Princess Mononoke or something.
I mean, we're gonna do that too, but it's
Yes, yes. Spoiler alert, we're definitely doing that at some point. As just an aside, I would love to talk about the Ainu culture.
fine. Hmm.
I don't know when, but I love that whole time. Like, I love the time period specifically where we
Hmm.
get a lot of information about the Ainu because there's a lot of change and things like that.
Hmm.
And Princess Mononoke um, kind of correlates with that, so can't wait to do that. But
Yes.
anyway, so back to Dionysus, born from his daddy's nutsack. So Something they had in common, though, were, of course, that they were mystery cults involving secret initiations and promises of a deeper spiritual knowledge and a better afterlife for said initiates. Some ritual elements, like music and dance, likely featured in both, although the purpose and intensity might have differed. It's giving me Catholic church, versus like stereotypical black church.
No, it's literally Catholic versus Baptist at this point. Yes, very much so. And I was raised Southern Baptist. I've been there.
And I was raised on the other end of it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that church looks way more fun than the TV shows. Oh, yeah. And then you hear that they're there for 5 hours, and I'm like, that's a big nope. I'm going to go get my brekkie after church. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
So, in essence, the Orphic mystery cult can be seen as a specific interpretation and development of earlier Dionysian traditions, incorporating unique myths, a distinct theological framework, centered on the suffering and rebirth of Dionysus Zagreus, praise our Lord and Savior, and a strong emphasis on soul's purification and its journey through reincarnation to achieve ultimate liberation. Praise Dionysus. It offers more structured and morally rigorous path to salvation compared to the often ecstatic and less doctrinally defined worship of the Olympian Dionysus.
No, and you know what? What it makes me think of, another thing it makes me think of, because just my brain works in references. I am constantly in movie quotes and lyrics. It's great. But
me too.
This one, it reminds me of Shivites, how there's a couple of different ways to do it. There is through the really gross consumption of literal cremation ashes and just really gross way to find enlightenment, and then the purification way to find enlightenment, but both of them lead to the same place.
Yeah, I mean, now that you bring that up, remember last episode when we're talking about how they're literally tearing apart fucking animals and devouring it potentially and shit? And I'm like, damn. And you can't, and it's funny too, because then this cult truly believes in the idea, there's always this rending, right? And it's interesting where the rending is coming from. In the Dionysian cult, they're referencing the Maenads and how Dionysus makes you do that kind of shit. But then on the flip side, this one, it's Dionysus is the one getting ripped apart. Well, Zagreus, who later becomes Dionysus, is the one getting ripped apart. And I find that kind of interesting,
It is, and I would definitely correct the Dionysus making the Maenads do crazy things. It's more so them being uninhibited. That's more of their natural state rather than a influence, if that makes sense.
It's inspiring them.
Yes. Yeah. Inspiration is one thing, but I wouldn't say maybe.
Yeah, no one's doing anything
my own
against
personal
their will.
gnosis on that one.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose no one's really making anyone do anything against their will. But like you said, it's a lifting of the inhibitions. Granted, only because of Dionysus is the theory, but those inhibitions are in you to begin with. So.
Absolutely. So there is another mystery cult that often gets confused or misinterpreted as the same thing as the Dionysian cult. The Eleusinian mysteries were in worship of Demeter and Persephone. So the rites and rituals of these mysteries went outside of the purview of just fertility. They focused. Wow. They focused. What is focused? Wow, my mouth did not work there.
You're really focused on this conversation.
I'm real focused right now.
That's a weird Southern. It's
that was, I just had jaw surgery and I can't work. It's great. No, so they focused instead on not just fertility, but also death and rebirth in the natural cycle of the season. So this really goes into the triplicate goddess that you see in most religions, most spiritual beliefs in most regions, because you're going to see the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Life, death, rebirth. That's really what you see. So while primarily this focused on the deities Demeter and Persephone and their powerful myth of lost search and reunion, Dionysus held a significant, although perhaps secondary, role within the Eleusinian cult. This perhaps suggests a later addition into the cult, as the idea of the cult with no male player was perhaps frowned upon in later times.
Because fragile masculinity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We can't have ladies talking to each other by themselves. I made that song up. You can find it on Spotify.
No, they need a fucking chaperone at every given moment. Ladies can't be getting ideas. How dare you?
Even the goddesses. Even goddesses.
Even goddesses. It's crazy. So this being linked with later ideas of how both male and females were necessary to fertility rather than fertility being the providence of just the female body alone, which, fuck that. Dionysus, with his own stories of fertility and rebirth cycles within seasons, would have been a good fit in that regard. Keep in mind that his relationship wasn't as central as it was in the Orphic Mysteries, but it was nonetheless present and meaningful. The most direct link between Dionysus and Eleusis is the figure of Iacchus. Iacchus was often closely associated with Dionysus, sometimes even considered an epithet or an aspect of the god, particularly in his role as the bringer of joy, liberation, and the ecstatic experience. So he is an orgasm god. We love it. Yes. So
we love our cum god. Yes.
Some sources even identify Iacchus as the son of Zeus and Demeter, or Persephone, which is gross that they are conflating Demeter and Persephone together. No. Further solidifying the connection between the Eleusinian deities and Dionysus. Another key aspect of the Eleusinian mysteries was the grand procession from Athens to Eleusis along the sacred way. During this procession, the initiates would chant and invoke various deities, and Iacchus was a prominent figure in these invocations. The cry, Iacche, was a characteristic element of the procession filled with religious fervor and anticipation. Iacchus is frequently, wow, I can't read today either. Iacchus is frequently depicted as a youthful figure carrying a torch, leading the procession to Eleusis. This imagery links him to light, guidance, and the hope of a positive afterlife, themes central to the Eleusinian mysteries. Or Eleusinian. Wow. I was messing that up the whole time. Eleusinian.
I just keep thinking, look, I haven't even been paying attention. I just keep thinking of Iacchus, god of gooning, and like, and I can't get that off my mind. And I just have an image of Dionysus' eyes crossed, like,
oh my god, that's hilarious.
And you got these two serious ladies like, oh my god, who invited this guy? They're like, can we have our death and rebirth cult in peace? God of gooning, thank you.
I mean, he's so intrusive. He's so intrusive. Oh my god. So
that needs to be a shirt now, God of gooning.
We'll figure it out. Well, I want this shirt immediately. I want this shirt. So the torch may also symbolize the illumination of the mysteries revealed to the initiates, like Dionysus, who had a connection to the underworld through his mother Semele and his own experiences. Iacchus also seems to have associations with the journey to and from the realm of the dead, mirroring Persephone's.
Persephone. We're never getting through this. We're sorry. I'm a professional historian, and I just saw the meaning and Persephone.
She's gonna beat my ass later. Oh my god. Persephone's annual descent and ascent. So this shared theme of overcoming death and returning to life likely contributed to his inclusion in the Eleusinian rites.
Beyond the figure of Iacchus, god of gooning, there is also the broader symbolic connections between Dionysus and the Eleusinian mysteries. Eleusinian, wow, you've
I
messed
know,
me up
right?
too.
I know, right?
Eleusinian mysteries. Cults revolved around myths involving death and rebirth, Persephone's or Persephone abduction, and return to symbolize the cycle of life and death and renewal in nature, particularly in the growth of crops. Dionysus, especially in his Zagreus aspect, as seen in the Orphism cult, which had some influence on broader Greek religious thought, also embodied themes of dismemberment and resurrection, representing the cyclical nature of life and the potential for transformations. While the Eleusinian mysteries were not primarily known for the wild ecstatic association. Wow, I can't talk today either, girl.
It's okay.
While the Eleusinian mysteries were not primarily known for the wild ecstasy associated with Dionysian cults, they did aim for a profound transformative experience for the initiative. The powerful emotions evoked by the central myth and the revelatory nature of the rites could be seen as a different form of spiritual ecstasy, a personal, deeply moving encounter with the sacred. Iacchus, as the joyful and liberating aspect of Dionysus, or gooning, could have facilitated this emotional and spiritual release during the... It's not helping with all this releasing. During the procession and within the sanctuary.
No, I see procession and all I thought is procreation. Wow. I can't. I cannot.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, oh my God, he's spiritually releasing all over the sanctuary? Oh, God.
How messy.
These ladies just want their own space.
Jeez.
God. And they've got this, like, hormonal teenager just spiritually releasing all over the place.
All the stiff socks. All the stiff socks.
No, because just
makeup on today, you're gonna make me cry. Shit.
They don't even have socks. They have sandals. So what are they were spiritually releasing into the sandal? Oh no. Oh, right. Both Demeter and Dionysus were associated with fertility and the bounty of the earth. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture and grain, while Dionysus was the god of wine, which is also vital for sustenance and ritual. Their shared concern for the earth's productivity could have contributed to their interconnectedness in religious thought. It's crucial to remember that the primary focus of the Eleusinian mysteries remained firmly on Demeter and Persephone. Dionysus, primarily through the figure of Iacchus, played a supporting role, enriching the themes and emotional landscape of the rites, if we want to call that. Mm-hmm. The Eleusinian mysteries were more solemn and focused on specific myths of the two goddesses and the promise of a blessed afterlife through their favor. The Dionysian mysteries, in contrast, emphasized ecstatic communication with the god through ritual practices. Dionysus, through the figure of Iacchus, was an integrated part of the Eleusinian mysteries. He was invoked during the crucial procession, often depicted as a guide and torchbearer, and his associations with joy, liberation, death, and gooning resonated with the core themes of the Eleusinian cult. While Demeter and Persephone remained the central figures, the presence of Iacchus, aka Dionysus, added another layer of meaning and emotional depth to the most revered religious rites of the ancient Greek world.
However, like all good parties, they eventually come to an end. The rise of Christianity and the increasing integration of Dionysian elements into more public and controlled festivals gradually led to the decline of the mystery cult in its distinct form. However, the enduring themes of ecstasy, transformation, and the power of irrational that characterize the Dionysian mysteries may have continued to resonate throughout Western culture. The Dionysian mystery cult was a vibrant and complex phenomenon that offered its initiates a path to spiritual transcendence through ecstatic rituals, mythic identification, and a temporary liberation from societal norms. Though many of its secrets remained veiled. Veiled. Wow, veiled.
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 Persephone veiled.
Persephone. While many of its secrets remain veiled, its profound influence on religion, art, and philosophy in the ancient world is undeniable. It stands as a testament to the enduring human desire for connection with the divine and the transformative power of altered states of consciousness.
Well, that's it for this time. Next time, we invite you to join us as we shift away finally from ancient Greece and turn our gaze towards another intriguing cult from ancient times that was both popular and viewed with suspicion within the Greek and Roman world. This is the cult and worship of Isis, goddess of magic, motherhood, healing, protection, marriage, funerary rites, royal authority, and power. While it seems unlikely, there's actually quite a bit she has in common with Dionysus, even though they come from completely different places and origins. But perhaps that is fitting with the topics that we have planned later this season. But for now, we will keep that secret, though we're sure some of you have already guessed where we're going with this. Now, as you know, we are a new podcast, and we are always looking to please the dark magic that is the algorithm. So wherever you are listening to this, whether it be Spotify, Apple, iHeart, YouTube, wherever, if you like us, take the time to give us a positive review. It goes a very long way for us.
We will also be starting a Patreon as soon as we have enough content in the backlog. There you can hear episodes of topics outside of the main purview of the podcast. We'll create more videos, do Q&As, sell merch, and in general get up to hijinks. So keep your eye out for that.
If you have any ideas, comments, or just want to say hi, you can reach us at the Time Travelers Club Podcast at gmail.com. We love it when people say hi. And as always, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Bye, y'all.